has therefore been rated 18 plus by the YouTube NECCA. Viewer discretion is advised.
سبحان فالق الإصباح.
Ding dong. Hello?
Yes, that's right, infidels. You found us here, channelattitude.com, Hameen Media Group, where you get the most real talk, the best reviews of all your favorite wrestling shows from AEW and WWE, Impact, and more, because we're going to break it all down with the best staff in professional wrestling at HMG. So you don't need to go anywhere else, because there's no 5 stars here. There's only $5 face slaps, infidel. Allahu Akbar! So sign up today, channelattitude.com, Hameen Media Group, and join the Hameen Army for the most real talk in professional wrestling. YOLO!
That was nuts.
These nuts?
Hello everyone and welcome to the PWC Double or Nothing post-game show. I am your host, Jimmy T, and my co-host, he's back. He's the evil dose of them all. He is the, well, are you the IVE of the PWC now, not just the EST? It is Dr. Jeff Lippman. Welcome to the Double or Nothing post-game show. Dude, after watching that main event, that was nuts.
The main event was nuts, but I'm going to start by saying something nice about AEW. This show was under 27 hours long, and he didn't add 6 extra matches for no reason at the last minute. So those are 2 nice things. So
well, I want to ask
beware.
you. Can I just ask you something before we get into it properly? Was Jeff Hardy off his face, or was this all done on purpose?
Oh, it definitely wasn't done on purpose. I'm not ready to say he was off his face, but he fell off his foot and fell off the ring ropes and twisted his ankle. Now, whether that's because he's has an equilibrium problem that was artificially inseminated or natural or just from age or ring rust, I don't know. I mean, let's all hope that he's still on the wagon. But would I be surprised to learn he fell off the wagon? Of course not, because most addicts do. But I don't want to rush to that judgment. But I'm going to just go with age and what would you expect? The guy hasn't been in the ring. You put him, on a pay-per-view match, basically right away, and it gets rusty. I mean, is this a prelude to CM Punk's return? That's the real question.
Oh, that's all right. He'll just injure himself jumping into the crowd.
Yeah, maybe he's learned his lessons from that, but then maybe this time he should jump into the crowd because there'll be like a banana peel on the ramp and he'll slip on us. I don't know, but this match had double the nonsense, and as far as decent matches, there were a few in there. There were from some high spots, but
Was there really?
Yeah, there were a few and far between. I have to be fair, but for the most part, I think that it's almost universally agreed that this is AEW's weakest pay-per-view, if not of all time. Certainly in the modern era when they've had, a big, a full roster. Maybe some of the early shows were weaker cards in hindsight, but there was so much excitement around them, and they were more traditional matches, and we didn't feel like they had a small roster because they really didn't. It's just that they have the most gigantic, enormous megalodon roster of all time.
Well, also, I want to bring up, this show, who the hell was that blackface dude that was doing the music? Dude, I'm a bit flabbergasted. I'm surprised that even got through with TK.
Yeah.
Did he even know?
Listen, there was so much wrong with that. First of all, who needs live music and who needed live music playing for 7 or 8 minutes throughout the match?
That was doing my head in, dude.
Secondly, who are these guys? I think they're called the Velvet Idols. I'd never heard of them, and that's not anything to be surprised about. But for a pay-per-view wrestling show, you should have a band that people have heard of, people even like me have heard of. Secondly, listen, I don't know if that's their gimmick, if they always wear black masks with red paint under their face or whatever it was, but it was a heck of a visual. And if that's their usual gimmick, maybe we should have been warned about it. If it's not their regular gimmick, somebody backstage in this uber sensitive, uber woke, someone should have looked and said, that's blackface. Did we sort of cover this with? Did we sort of cover this with Jordan Miles / ACH's T-shirt and NXT? Did we all learn this lesson? A few years ago that apparently we had forgotten from old cartoons and and more recent debacles, Cinder Claws and things like that.
Unbelievable, man! 2023, and we saw blackface. I'm telling you, TK didn't know about this because I just don't see how he would have been like, yeah, no worries, go in.
Who pays the bills? Of course you have to know about it.
I have no idea, man. I have no idea. Like I said, this show was just crazy in many ways. But anyway, let's get into the friggin' match, shall we?
Yes.
The card. Because we start with the pre-show match. It was Matt Hardy, Jeff Hardy, and Hook defeating Ethan Page, Austin Gunn, and Colton Gunn.
Anyone could play goddamn Wild Thing.
Anyone could have played Wild Thing, but whoever these guys were played it instead.
It's like a 90-year-old song. Anybody could have played that. Okay,
anyone could have.
The first match, what?
It was Matt Hardy, Jeff Hardy, and Hook defeating Ethan Page, Austin Gunn, and Colton Gunn in the pre-show matchup.
Yeah, what a shit fest this was. And if there was ever any doubt, which there wasn't, but by taking out Isaiah Cassidy, the weak link who may or may not have a real injury and is no longer with his tag team partner because he does have a real injury, and you put in Hook with the Hardys, there's a 0% chance that they'd lose, especially in AEW. And now we get to see Matt Hardy controlling the contract of Ethan Page, something that nobody wanted to see, period.
Yeah, who gives a shit? Exactly. And going back to the Jeff Hardy stuff, I was reading quickly online. A lot of fans think he was off his face. A lot of fans think he was just playing, storyline here in the match.
Definitely
I won't lie. When I saw it, I thought he kind of looked like he did slip on purpose when you really look at it. But then again, I can't put anything past Jeff Hardy, so I'm not too sure, man.
He was limping the way somebody who twists their ankles limps. He's not that good an actor. In wrestling, you don't act like that. You overact, you sell it, you exaggerate. So I don't think so. Again, I don't want to rush to judgment, but I will rush to judgment on this match. So this match sucked. And I mean, somebody needs one of those conspiracy charts with all the photographs on like pieces of yarn going from pushpin to pushpin, keep track of where this whole "we control your contract" started and all the different stops it's made and who's controlled what and who's controlled who and what and the other thing. I mean, and just like the GIF that nobody cares about, nobody should care about this either.
That's true. Chris Miller in the chat says, cheers PWC Cosmos. Dragunov and Dijak showed what a spot fest is supposed to be. Best match of the weekend. I assume no Miro or Andrade on the AEW pay-per-view. No, Chris. No Miro, no Andrade. And I haven't seen that match yet. I was going to watch it after we do this review, and then we're going to review it tomorrow.
Well, you're assumed correctly, Chris, but Dragunov, not to outdo Jeff Hardy, but Dragunov absolutely broke his arm, and you probably won't see him wrestle again for months.
Really?
So I hope you really. Oh yeah, there's a giant lump on his forearm, and you can see the bruising. I mean, that was probably about a quarter of an inch away from breaking skin, but he soldiered through it. It was right towards the end. But I don't know. I would have called an audible or stopped the match. That was ugly.
So it was nearly a compound fracture.
Oh, I think so. I mean. You don't get lumps like that on your forearm unless there's bone poking through.
I'm looking forward to seeing that once we stop over here.
It's a brutal match. I mean, it was fun to watch, but geez, it's
just crazy.
Oh,
damn, the PWC. Some fans now. I'm proud of you, Jimmy. Thank you, homeboy.
Why are you just proud of Jimmy? Why not myself and Chris also?
Yeah, I was going to say that. Effort. And we've got a new Chris in the house.
Hey.
Hi, everybody. Is that Adam Cole?
I know his avatar. It may be by pretty soon, but welcome. Hope you stay.
Welcome to the PWC. You won't be disappointed. Put it that way. But anyway, yeah. Look, I don't know, man. This match sucked, like you said. The Hardys and Hook did win. Cool. It was obvious. I guess we're just going to see more shenanigans moving forward, Jeff. Between these six.
The Guns are your former AEW tag team champions. And put in this high prestige spot. And the Hardys, who are supposedly marching towards tag team gold again, how is this advanced by being in a triple threat and holding the reins to Ethan Page's contract? I
have no idea.
You tell me. I can't figure out how this helps them, how this is a means to those ends, but okay.
Whatever, man. But let's move on to the main card, and this is where the pay-per-view actually starts. Right. It is your AEW International Championship Battle Royale match, or should I call it the Blackjack Battle Royal, for Orange Cassidy's AEW International Championship. And Orange Cassidy does retain in the end. I thought, you know what, dude, I'm going to be honest. This wasn't a bad Battle Royal, Jeff.
I'm going to be honest. You're wrong.
Wow. You hated it.
And everyone knows I'm a sucker for a Battle Royal. And I think in the 3 years that we've been doing shows together, I think there have been two other Battle Royals that I did not like. One was the Royal Rumble Women's Battle Royal from a couple of years ago, where they went overboard on legends like Summer Rae and Brie Bella and Alicia Fox, and it was just a shit fest. And then I can't remember what the other one was, but there was one other that I didn't like. It was probably an AEW one. But I'm not even sure about that, to be honest with you. Anyway, no, I thought this was terrible. I mean, first of all, I'm so over when people wait outside the ring while the Battle Royal is going on. You should be disqualified. But if the embassy is going to do that, or the Mogul embassy is going to do it, they both should do it. I mean, this is silly. I still don't understand why the other two guys in the embassy weren't there. I still don't understand why QT Marshall, Aaron Solo, and Hobbs withdrew. Maybe somebody said, well, if Hobbs doesn't win this thing, it is going to look like he's just a jobber. Okay, wisdom there, but that doesn't mean that QT and Aaron couldn't be jobbers. But the biggest issue with this Battle Royal is that there was never a question who the jobbers were. There were only 6 or 7 people who could possibly win this thing, and they all had programs with each other. So you knew that they were going to, most likely cancel each other out, which left the conclusion that Orange Cassidy would win. Now, the predictability of it doesn't change whether or not it's a good battle royal or not. What made it bad is that you would have a number of guys, oftentimes double digits, just standing around watching while other people did their spots and set up moves instead of battle royaling, which just shows that they're unprofessional. They don't know how to act until it's turn for their spots. So they walk around, stand around like quails, as they would say, and then they get around to their spot. And every now and then someone no, we should be punching and kicking here, like someone like a Dustin Rhodes would tell people, punch, kick, do, act. But yeah, I thought this was a load of shit. I don't know what else to say. I thought it was a load of shit, and you have room for Commander, but not LFI. I mean, you have room for Commander, but and the best friends, but not Lance Archer, not Miro, not Andrade. I mean, not Pac. Where the hell is Pac? Anyone seen Pac?
Wow, I forgot all about that guy.
I mean, wouldn't this be a good time to reintroduce some of us to some of the people who are going to be on Collision and maybe have them have strong showings in the Battle Royal instead of having the Davari group, the Trustbusters or the Varsity Athletes or whoever the fuck they are in here? At least the Dark Order was in this match, but I mean, this is a waste of space.
I've heard rumors that Pac is not actually signed with AEW anymore, but I don't know how true they are.
I haven't heard a thing. Who knows? It's been a long time since we've seen him.
That's true. It's been a long time, and we need answers, man. I don't like how AEW has a tendency of actually doing this, where you see wrestlers one week, and then you don't for like another
half year,
6 months. Yeah,
half year to a year.
Yeah, about that.
Yeah, I mean, no Pillman. I mean, it's like I don't even miss these people. I just wonder where they are. I miss Pac. That's not true. But for some like why is Phoenix and Penta in this match? Why are the Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions in this match? I don't understand. I have no idea. But Orange Cassidy does retain. There's no point of going through this battle royal. At the end of the day, Swerve and Cassidy were the last two. And yes, Cassidy wins in typical fashion by just kicking Swerve's hands off of the ropes, and that was that. Softly. That was the smartest part of the entire battle royal. He just did one of his lazy kicks to the guy's hand, and he fell off. Good. There were a million other times that if somebody just hit somebody's hands, they would have fallen off, but they didn't. So kudos to Cassidy for learning from everyone else's mistakes. But whatever. This is dumb. So now you show he can beat anyone 23 weeks in a row, or whatever, and he can even beat 20 other people at once. Great. So I mean, Orange Cassidy is, your Superman. He's your Cena. He's your, Roman Reigns. Whatever you want to do.
He is.
It's also is. It's just also ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
People comparing how many times he's defended the belt versus Roman Reigns. Why don't you compare how many times he's defended the belt versus MJF? Because last night was his third match of the year, 3-0 in 2023.
That's true. Well, speaking of ridiculous, we have your next matchup. It is your unsanctioned match between Adam Cole and Chris Jericho. Sabu was your special enforcer. Roderick Strong and the Jazz were at ringside, but they didn't really last too long because Sabu attacked all of them with a chair and dove onto Daddy Magic, crashing through a table.
Right.
And basically all the extras brawled. Yeah, and all the extras brawled to the back.
The four members of the JAS, Sabu, they all went poof. By the way, I am sure Sabu injured his hip or something doing that.
When he went through the table?
Yeah, because he was like limping afterwards. I mean, there's no way he came out of that in one piece. Yeah, I don't understand where the rest of the JAS went. I don't understand where Roderick Strong went. I don't know why you have a special enforcer and then they disappeared. I don't know why you have a special enforcer in a no DQ unsanctioned match. I didn't understand any part of this. I thought the action was bad. You have Britt come in and do her lane spots. Then Saraya, who's not really involved in this, comes in and she forgets to bring a weapon. She gets chased away. And then Adam Cole at some point ties the chain around himself so much that it's too short that he can't use his fist with the chain to punch Jericho in the face with the chain, which probably should have been the ending. So he goes to the other hand. At least he was smart enough to do that. But that eye actually was damaged on Jericho. And the ref
it fucking looked it.
Yeah, I don't know where he injured it, but it wasn't here. It was before the punches. And then the ref, Aubrey Edwards, stops a no DQ unsanctioned match? I mean, is that a thing?
Should there be even a referee in an unsanctioned match, to be honest?
No, there should be. I mean, or at least tell us what rules there are in an unsanctioned match. Because if AEW isn't, I mean, it's so stupid when they did the contract signing. Well, it's still on an AEW card. Yeah, we know. Then you're sanctioning it. I mean, you're having them sign contracts. I mean, you can't close your eyes and say it's not there. The whole thing was, but okay. Lots of promotions do unsanctioned match. Let me get past that.
Well, the comment king is in the house. Todd Brownlee. Hey, yo, what's going on? And he says he hated this.
Yeah, I hated it too.
A ref stoppage is an unsanctioned match. In an unsanctioned match, make it make sense. No shit, right? I mean, that's exactly what we're saying.
This reminded me of the Hell in the Cell where Seth Rollins versus the Fiend, where Seth Rollins was stopped with the ball peen hammer of beating on the Fiend. I mean, that was one of the stupidest booking decisions in history, and this was kind of up there. I mean, they could have at least had one of the other members of the Jericho Appreciation Society run out and throw in the towel for their guy, and then beg Cole. I mean, that at least could have made it.
Look at the comment killing it in the HMG Pick'em. Are you number one, Todd, or you're right or close to it? Let us know in the chat, man.
I have to tell you, folks, I got every single pick right on this card, except for the matches that were not called beforehand. And I'm including that Jade versus Chris Statlander. But listeners of our shows,
I got everything right.
Right, that I did say that Jade and her group were going to beat down Taya Valkyrie, and Statlander will come out and make the rescue to be the next challenger, which would have been a better finish anyway. So I sort of got it right. And I did correctly predict that House of Black would defend against the Acclaim, which was not a announced match. I just picked the wrong winner. I predicted that the Acclaim would win that one. But, I think I should get some credit for calling events that weren't even scheduled.
Right. And I even picked the House of Black, even though it wasn't scheduled, supposedly. But
you did.
We got it anyway. And that takes us to our next match, actually. Is there any point of talking more about this? Jericho's family was in the crowd, funny enough. Yeah. And Britt Baker really destroyed Jericho's ribs.
Oh, yeah. Very much. I don't know what happened here, but this match was sloppy. It was ugly. It was bad. It wasn't. There was no story. Adam Cole just looks ridiculous, and I still think that he has some lingering effects.
Yeah, he probably does. You know what spot I really hated though? You know the part where Jericho had the Walls of Jericho on Cole, and Cole ended up getting the what do you call it? The fire hydrant fucking
fire extinguisher.
The fire extinguisher. When he leaned over for that, and Jericho just looking at it felt like for an eternity, dude.
Right.
Like he just oh.
I mean, in reality, it was probably like 4 or 5 seconds, but whatever it was long enough for a human being to put their hand up in the fence or to turn the other way, and he's just keeps staring at it. And Jericho should know better.
He should
know when the spot is up, and you can figure out a way to recreate it.
And I'm sure they rehearsed that spot, but whatever. I guess they still fuck it up.
Yeah, that was one of the many stupid things in this match, and I'd like to say that there was any part that wasn't stupid. I mean, there were plenty of parts where they could have ended it well. But no,
should have, but didn't.
It would, he should have handcuffed Jericho back to the rings again, and then like hogtied him or something with the chains. That would have been fine. I don't know, whatever. This was a crap fest, and all I have to say is, and these are words I don't often seem. Well, I've been saying it more and more frequently, more than I ever expected. But thank God for Jeff Jarrett.
We'll get to that in a moment. But anywho, Cole does defeat Jericho in the unsanctioned match. Cool, whatever. But next, as you brought up, Jeff, it is your AEW World Tag Team Championship match as FTR retained against Jarrett and Lethal in a fun matchup. I mean, I didn't mind this match.
No, this was one of the good matches on the card. I mean, I'm not saying it was perfect or anything, but it was fun. I mean, this was a wrestling match with professionals, and I mean, I have to say, when Karen Jarrett hit the chair shot on Aubrey Edwards, she was face of the night, and I actually laughed out loud. I'm like, oh yeah! I mean that and that's what wrestling's supposed to do. But that was like the only time all night I was like whooping and hollering with joy and delight.
Oh, God. Well, in the end, like I said, FTR does retain. Look, this was a fun sort of mess of a match in many ways, but it made sense. Mark Briscoe was all over the place. He called it down the middle. And but you know what, man? I felt like I would have loved to seen Jarrett and Lethal actually become your tag champs, but unfortunately, tonight wasn't the night, or last night, should I say?
They're not there to win titles. They're there to keep matches together. And listen, if anybody told you in 2023 Jeff Jarrett and Karen Jarrett would be among the highlights of a pay-per-view, you'd call them a goddamn liar, and they would have been right.
No, you're right. I mean, where do we go with this? Do we continue this storyline, you think?
I mean, Karen Jarrett is more impactful than a 7'3" man.
He's a waste of money at this point. Just get rid of him already. Fuck.
No, nobody would notice. So, nobody would notice. No, I agree. Where do we go with this? I assume FTR moves on to something else. I mean, hopefully the Guns try to make some, get themselves back into that mix, and whatever, for a short-term thing, whatever. And Lethal and Jarrett, I assume that they're going to continue a story with Mark Briscoe where he's going to be going after them and they'll be double teaming him. And, Briscoe will have to find a new hero. I don't know. Someone else will have to join him.
I'm telling you, Jay Lethal.
No. Well, Jay Lethal turning on Jarrett will be fine. Just who's going to join Jarrett? The Giant can't wrestle, and Sanjay can't do it either. So they have to find someone else.
I still think it'd be funny if Jay Lethal plays.
No, it's not funny. You should stop saying it.
All right. I won't say it, but I wouldn't be surprised if they do go there. Believe me when I tell you that, man. Because don't put it past them. You know very well that that's a possibility, Jeff.
No, I don't.
Okay, we'll see. Anyway, let's go to the next match.
I should have put your name as Jimmy Twisted.
Come on. It is your TNT Championship matchup between Wardlow and Christian Cage, and Wardlow does retain in the ladder match, obviously. I didn't like this match at all, dude.
There's no reason you should have. I mean, it was bad. Wardlow was being dumb babyface, trying to play Christian's game. He was setting up table spots instead of trying to get to the title. The whole thing with Arn Anderson biting Luchasaurus's thumb was stupid. I don't know what to say. This whole thing was dumb, and it was like two guys wrestling in water. Everyone climbs up ladders, dopey in the dopiest fashion, slowest fashion in wrestling. We understand that, but this was even worse. And this is because you have a 280-pound man who shouldn't be climbing up those terrible ladders. And again, we had the segment where the refs, because of safety's sake, are holding these bent and twisted ladders so wrestlers don't fall off of them. But they're not really supposed to do that. Yes, we know that there's precedent and history for it in wrestling, but it never looks good. It never comes off good. So why do it? Why if you're going to do a ladder match, do it with people who can do a ladder match. I'm not even sure Christian is healthy enough to do that, whether it's between his age, his neck, and his tricep. It
was a slow sort of match. At least we got a turtleneck chant from the crowd.
Yes. It's been a long time since I've seen sleeveless turtleneecks. So that was
Was there such a thing as sleeveless turtlenecks? I don't even remember seeing
women.
Them. Oh,
I've never seen one. I've never seen one on men before.
Well, I was referring men to men, not women. But yeah, you're right about the women. Shit, I used to rock the damn turtlenecks back in the day. I'm talking about back in the 90s, though, man.
Yeah, but I don't remember a sleeveless one.
No, I don't either, actually, at all. Todd says, say what you want about Jarrett, but he knows what he's doing, and his matches are somewhat entertaining. We agree.
Yeah.
We've always said it. I mean, we keep saying it. Ain't he great?
It brings me no pleasure to say this.
And he also says FTR and the Hardys is going to be next, unfortunately.
But it's not, right. Because it's face on face. It's not going to be next.
You don't... Well, who knows? Todd says also, weird match. We should have booked better considering Christian and Arn were part of it. It's true, but they're lazy.
I want to know where people think that Christian and Arn are good at booking. What has Arn shown?
Arn has had a good resume in being an agent in WWE. I mean, a lot of WWE wrestlers have absolutely praised him.
Yeah, well, okay, swell. Maybe he's a good collaborator, but to be the agent himself, he's hasn't proven himself to have influence or any particular talent in AEW. And Christian, I don't know that he can book anything.
I don't know about Christian, but Arn should know better, that's for sure. But
Christian's
then
good at
again,
getting
Christian
himself
should.
over, but I mean, he
Right.
hasn't gotten anyone else over.
That's true. That's actually true. Is that done by design? I'm not sure, but that's interesting that you bring that up
I
because
mean,
he's supposed to be there to put others over.
yeah, I mean, does anyone take Luchasaurus seriously? And
Not me.
is Jungle Boy taken more serious now due to his stint with Christian? Now he was better off with Christian because he didn't speak.
Right.
So, but I don't think Christian, I don't think Christian could have helped or hurt that any. I mean, he just delayed it.
No, you're right. It's spot on, dude. Well, anyway, Warlow does retain his TNT championship against Christian, but where does he go from here moving forward now?
I don't know. All I'll say is at least they didn't hot potato this title again. Because so let me say something nice. They didn't make the mistake. They didn't hot potato it. I mean, none of us really thought that anybody that was associated with WWE or another company that was less of an AEW original would get any titles, with one exception, and that was for a different reason. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We'll get to the exceptions and whatever. But this title has been hot potato too much going back several champions ago, and at least they're not doing it now. Where do they go from here? I assume that they will try to run back Hobbs, get him into this mix. If not, I mean, if you don't know what else to do, I guess in case of emergency in your AEW, break glass and book Lance Archer to make a lot of noise and ultimately lose. I mean, where do I think it's going to go? I think it's going to be Luchasaurus. I think we're going to be stuck with that for the next, 6 weeks or so.
Well, Todd thinks it's going to be Wardlow versus Hobbs because Hobbs never got his rematch. In AEW, no one is entitled to rematches, it seems, Todd.
Right. I mean, the QTV hasn't even necessarily been renewed, so I'm not even sure he's still on TV.
And like he says, it probably won't happen, though, because AEW,
Yeah, I mean,
it's true.
Jimmy, we could have taken the night off. We should just let Todd handle this shit.
I know, he's been spot on. I mean, I know I've told Todd he should come on the show one day, but yeah.
No one just gets to come on the show. They have to send auditions.
It's Todd, man. It's Todd.
I don't care. We have to see how they sound and how they present on video and audio.
He's actually in the business.
You will open. He's in the business. What business?
He is. He actually
Pornography?
is.
What?
Tell him, Todd. Tell him. He doesn't know, clearly. Anyway, let's move on, though, to the next match.
Now the rain is gone. Listen, there's this thing called, to have fans, they have to watch. If you want people on, there needs to be contests that people win to get on.
Oh, so
you can't just keep letting people in. Otherwise, being a host isn't special.
You said kayfabe that, Jeff.
I am kayfabing it. I'm keeping it real. I'm staying in character, buddy.
Oh God.
Did we do it Chris Watts? Is he still there? After our
I have
Cole
no
comments?
idea.
Yeah.
I have no idea. He just said, "What's up?" I don't know if he's still watching or listening, but if he is,
there's such a thing as hate watching. It's okay to hate watch us.
Well, anyway, next we move on to our AEW Women's World Championship match. And I felt like you and I were the only ones that called this, but Tony Storm does end up becoming your new AEW Women's World Champion in defeating Jamie Hayter, and about time too.
Yeah, this was smelling like this injury was more and more real, and I don't know, things didn't feel right. I mean, this match, I know people shit on it. I thought it was okay for what it was, especially if the injury is even a little bit real. Obviously, they're trying to protect it. I thought it started stupidly with Saraya and Ruby Riott attacking her and, nobody doing anything. No security, no refs, no disqualification, no threatening to eject them. It took way too long for the match to start. And then, of course, you did this stupid thing where you asked the babyface if they still want to have the match. And, of course, they still want to have the match. But whatever. They want to protect Jamie Hayter, make her look, well, like Cody, I guess. She'll fight through anything. But but the match itself was okay. I didn't think it was bad. On this card, and everyone knows I'm not like a big proponent of women's wrestling. But I'm a professional, so I have to sit through it. But so far on this card, this would have been the second best match.
Yeah, it was decent. It could have been better, but I feel like Tony Tony Storm lately has been putting on pretty decent matches on the women's end in AEW, so she's been all right. And you know what, man? I felt like she deserved to win this championship because Hayter right now has just been ice cold.
Yeah.
And you're probably right. There probably is something to that injury of hers to her arm.
And there was no crowd response. I mean, this Las Vegas crowd was mostly dead and silent the entire night. Bro. But for this, they were especially silent.
Yes, and
yes,
that was shocking, Todd. And he says, did you notice Saraya taking off the turnbuckle pad and the referee just stood there and did nothing? That's just typical AEW, Todd.
And when the referee finally did something, then they went right in front of the referee to do it to another turnbuckle corner. And that didn't even really play into the match, except when you had the ref hit the turnbuckle and I guess was dazed, but the ref was a Paul Turner? I don't think it was Turner. But whoever it was, he wasn't even dazed enough, or he dazed himself but turned in the wrong direction with his eyes open so he could still see what was going on and just pretended that he was, the refs blew it. It's not, I mean, they performed. The refs botched all over the place.
The refs are pretty bad, actually. Yeah, they were. They really were on this card. But what can we say, man? I mean, this pay per view. You know, this could be one of our quickest ever pay per view review shows, Jeff. To be honest,
this entire card from top to bottom was sloppy. It was messy,
unorganized,
disorganized. Yeah, I mean. And where it was organized, it was just indie-rific. It was indie spot.
It was very indie.
And things these clowns have probably done in high school gyms 1,000 times, which is perfectly good for when 223 people are in a high school gym or at the local bingo hall or, you know, whatever, the VH, the Veterans of Foreign Wars Lodge or whatever it is. And yeah, the people in the crowd will probably like it, but you're not running the show for the people in the crowd. You're running the show for the people, what you hope to be tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people watching at home, and if you do a good show for the people at home, it's also going to be good for the people in the crowd as well. This was only good for the people in the crowd because because people love their little spot fest. And I'm not even sure all the people did because, as we noted, it was quiet in there. And listen, I believe the pictures that I saw where the place looked like it was 2/3 empty. And one apparently was during setup, and one, I guess, was a conveniently bad shot after Orange Cassidy successfully defended. I saw that. But
Jericho, during the Jericho spot too, I think there was a shot where they showed towards the hard camera side. There was all empty seats everywhere.
Yeah, they had that V empty behind where the hard cam was, and some of the upper bowl sections were empty as well. And there were empty seats throughout. But I did see a few shots during different parts of the show from sort of like from the top of the arenas, from the upper bowls on different threads during different matches during the night, and I'm pretty convinced that there were if they say there's 10,000 people there, I would believe it. I mean, if
they
it was
said 11,000. That's
what's
what
that?
They said. They mentioned, well, Excalibur mentioned there was 11,000, and then he sort of choked, and then he's like, "Oh, there's more than 11,000 in the building."
Well, I mean that probably includes vendors, staff, wrestlers, a crew, and all that. So that's fine. I mean, it's wrestling. Exaggerating, but if someone said no, it was only 8,500, I believe them. If someone told me it was 10,500, I believe them. It was a good showing.
Well, Todd brings up an interesting point. He says, "You think all those that paid $50 for this think they got their money's worth? I doubt it." You're probably right,
Todd. I know for a fact that they don't, because the very same cagematch.net ratings that Tony Khan was bragging about for 2 weeks in a row, because he couldn't brag about anything else. This was the lowest rated AEW match. It was rated, I think, 65 or 6.5, whatever it was equivalent to 65%, which is a D.
Wow.
Right above fail, So,
did you watch the post-game show yet at all?
Yeah, I did. And
the scrum?
I did. And by the way, they botched that too, because for the first 26 minutes and 25 seconds, there's a guitar riff playing over and over again, but you could see Tony Khan there. And then the sound and the video weren't matched. And then at the end, you see Tony Khan, and it's like a kung fu movie where the words almost match what he's saying, but you can tell that they totally don't. And he's in the middle of talking, and it just ends. So
okay,
I mean, they even botched the live stream and didn't fix it for YouTube. I didn't see it until today. Probably late morning, early afternoon, because it was 2 hours and 25 minutes. So yeah, I mean, no one even bothered to finish it. He didn't say anything of substance. He just did one line. He said because when they were questioning about Collision, he mentioned, "Oh yes, we're getting paid for that show. We're getting paid quite well." No,
Is that what he said? Did he?
He also reiterated a couple times that the contract hasn't changed. So I assume in Tony speak, what that means is with whatever the ad revenue split is, or maybe they get 100% of the ad revenue. That's what he means by we're getting paid very well by them, because they're not getting more money from Warner. And I'm almost of the opinion, and I heard it almost crack into what Dave Meltzer said, because they also showed, like, I guess Figure 4 Online had like a convention, and they had a Q&A thing section, and in there somewhere, I think Dave Meltzer said, "Oh, there's no rush. Warner Bros. Discovery is hemorrhaging a lot of money. They're not looking to spend any. It's certainly a commitment. They gave them another 2 hours, but they didn't extend the contract or anything. But there's no rush. They have that extension period, so there's no rush to renegotiate this thing. They have them on. They have them contractually bound until through 2024. So, I mean, that's about as close as I've heard to someone saying that, besides me, and I was just speculating that Warner Brothers Discovery just picked up the option for 2024.
God damn it. Well, Chris Willen says in the chat, sounds like the Impact pay-per-view was more worth the watch. They have better refs and cheesy storylines, at least.
Chris, if you really like wrestling, you're probably right. But if you're trying to talk to an audience, nobody cares about Impact. So I think people would rather hear us bash AEW or listen. I think we're pretty fair.
We're fair, man. I don't care what anybody says. People call us WWE shields. Heck, people have called us AEW shields. No, we just call it how we see it, man.
Whatever it is, whatever we say, whatever anybody thinks, I think that there's more interest in what we say about AEW than Impact. That would just be a waste of our time.
Right, and you know what? As much as I've wanted to watch Impact Wrestling, right, it's their production that really takes me out of it. I know it's better. I know they do some good shit, but their production is just not on point at all.
I have zero interest in watching Impact. I was listening to Mish from Wrestling Soup talk about Impact, and he was talking about, and then there's the Coven, and someone in there is like Taylor Wilde, and she's great looking, and Kylan King, and as soon as he's talking about Kylan King, I'm like, yeah, I'm out. Don't start talking. Don't start talking to me about sex appeal, and you name Kylan King. No. We do not have the same taste.
Oh, that's a good one, Jeff. I like that. Well, anyway, let's move on to the next match. It was an unannounced match, per se. It is your AEW World Trios Championship House of Black, or House match, whatever you want to call it. It is House of Black retaining against the Acclaimed and Billy Gunn. This went... again, I didn't like this match. Well, I really didn't like it. What the fuck? I mean... It didn't go as long as I expected it either, to be honest.
This was my third favorite match because it was actually a wrestling match with people who look like wrestlers and try wrestle. I thought, but it made no sense,
dude.
Well, the first part didn't make sense. I mean, one of the things in the House of Black, they have their rules. They've got there's a 20 count. There's no rope breaks.
Yeah, I hate that. I can't stand it. I don't even know why they have it. They might as well call it Japanese rules.
Right. I think they also have no disqualifications. And then the fourth rule is that dealer's choice. The fourth rule is that the challengers get to pick a stipulation or a rule. And the Acclaim rejected that. They said, we don't even need a rule to beat you guys. But listen, the rap was funny. They said something about, Buddy Matthews, you must be sick because your old lady's hanging out with some guy named Dominic. I mean,
yeah, that was good. That was good. And I bet you that got him pissed. I don't think he would even know.
Buddy Matthews acted out on social media again. He's like,
did he?
Yeah.
Oh, come on, bro. He didn't.
He's like something, they made you more famous than you are, baby. Shut up, the goofus.
Buddy, you're from my neck of the woods. Don't embarrass us, bro. Because he's from Melbourne also, right? Please. Come on, buddy. Don't. Please.
Anyway.
He's embarrassing.
They had an interesting visual with Julia Roberts. Julia Hart. She had like extensions onto her fingers, so it was like a
Pretty woman.
Scissor hand, like Slender Man kind of effect with the shadow.
Overkill, man. She's not a monster, bro.
Well, they're all monsters. Anyway, this I mean, yeah, well, Billy Gunn, talking monsters, I mean, he didn't make Brody King look small, but he's bigger than Brody King. I thought I think size-wise, they would be closer.
Wait, you mean in height? Yeah, I think
Height and
he's pretty tall.
Billy Gunn was a solid inch taller than Brody King, and he's so jacked that he's, Brody King's got a bigger belly, but Billy Gunn he's gigantic. It's ridiculous.
He's gigantic. I'll give him that. And it's funny what Todd says in the chat. Does Buddy Matthews make you ashamed of being Australian, Jimmy? Right now he is. Fuck. I would have called him the best Australian pro wrestler in terms of in-ring, right? Other than that, he sucks in every other thing. I mean, he can't talk. That's that. And the shit he's been doing on social media is absolutely embarrassing. So please, that's why I keep saying, please, dude, just stop doing what you're doing, man, because you look like an idiot, straight up. But yeah, I am embarrassed at this point. Fuck. I mean, let's be honest. What if Rhea Ripley even seen him acting like that?
I mean, he does look like an action figure. I mean, listen.
He looks great, but that's about it. He's great in the ring.
Is her real name. She's not that pleasant a person.
Whoa, what makes you say that? Who says that?
I've interacted with her on Facebook. More than that, I've seen her interact with people on Facebook. She
could be in character, man.
No, I don't think so. She's like Cora Jade. Like because Twitter is so toxic that a lot of the wrestlers have gone back to Facebook, so they want everyone to add them. And they're like they have a bad experience with a fan, and they yell at everyone on their Facebook page about it.
Okay, well, Todd says at this point you'd rather have Outback Jack.
Let's put it this way: I unfriended or whatever you do to both of those young ladies, because it's just, I mean, it's not an interesting experience. They're just add this one, but if they say anything, it's like you fans smell. Leave me alone at the airport.
Yeah, I hate that shit. I know. It's stupid.
Don't accept friend requests if you want to yell at people. I mean,
exactly. Spot on. Well, Chris says, none of my kids like it. I won't watch unless it's Miro crushing someone like Jungle Boy. The PWC coverage does the trick.
That's right.
Thank you, man.
Spread the word. Nobody needs to watch any of this stuff. We can do it. We'll handle it. Almost.
And Homeboy says, almost entertaining wrestling. Almost.
Right.
It was at one stage, but at this point...
So, Jimmy, we're going to have our first disagreement, I think, of that. Well, maybe not first, but I thought the House of Black versus the Acclaim match was okay. Just like I thought the Tony Storm versus Jamie Hayter match was okay. I mean, right now, those up to this part of the card, those are my three favorite matches on the card.
I'm surprised. I mean, it was all right. The House of Black match with the Acclaim. The rap is what made it for me.
Yeah.
But
also the Black Mass knocking Billy Gunn just the fuck out in the center of the ring. Just a clean win.
Whatever. Where do we go from here? Who the fuck knows? Because they were building up the Acclaimed, but they lost anyway. But next we have, is this Hogan versus Yokozuna? Because it feels like it. It's your TBS Championship, match between Jade Cargill and Taya Valkyrie. But Chris Stanlander ended up defeating Jade Cargill to win the match, because after the match, she had another open challenge. It was Chris Stanlander that ended up taking it, and this is one of the old worst kept secrets, because you've been calling this for a long time, Jeff, that it will be Statlander that ends up dethroning Cargill, and that's exactly what we got. And no one cared.
What? Right, and nobody cared because it was done in a dumb way. And I mean, first of all, I think no matter, you hate what we say, you love everything about AEW, you hate everything about AEW, you love everything about WWE, you hate it, you love NXT, you love NWA, you love Impact, whatever it is, whoever you are in wrestling, whoever your favorites are, whatever the things you hate or love the most, the one thing everybody can agree upon is that Mark Sterling is the worst lawyer of all time. Everything he does fails. He's the one who did the open challenge. But let's back up and start with the Jade Taya match. Was this a good match?
Not really.
No. And they had practice. Like they had a prior match and prior run-ins. They've had time to practice it. This was not a good match. And there was a time where Jade did not get her shoulder up, and the ref only counted to 2.
Oh, there was twice we've had that during the night. There was another match. It could have been the Anarchy match actually,
It's funny.
where there was a 3 count.
There are actually quite a few places where it didn't look to me like a shoulder got up in time or before the 3 count. But in this case, like she just raised her arm, but not her shoulder. Like it wasn't even close. This was egregious. It was right there in the camera. I mean, and I understand with the 2.9 second ones, sometimes it's going to happen or whatever.
I don't care, man. We need professionals, dude.
but at least get your shoulder up. Even if it's late, even if you're slow, get your shoulder up. She didn't even try. She just went like this.
Yeah, I know. It's fucking it's stupid, man. It
was lazy,
stupid. Well, Todd apparently says that Jade is supposed to take some time off soon, but still, what the fuck?
Well, I don't know. Maybe she should. Maybe she's going to do some casting for some superhero movies. I mean, she'd be perfect for it, or a Bond movie, whatever. Fast and Furious.
She'd be great in a Bond movie.
Yes, I mean,
as the evil sidekick. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I mean, she's a physical specimen, and I'm sure that she can act well enough, depending on what the role is. Anyway, not a good match. Taya Valkyrie, they were both wrestling in wet cement. I mean, they hadn't had any better. The end was so abrupt. The finisher did not look impactful, and then you got Mark Sterling spewing his nonsense. I mean, the best part of the match was honestly Layla Gray trying to keep her boob inside her star top. So you have the spurs of the star covering each boob. But Mark Sterling says, Jade feels like she got she barely skated through this match. This wasn't like the Dynamite where she beat 2 jabronis in an aggregate of 67 seconds. I mean, she barely got past this match. So where is this stupid confidence coming from? What they should have done is they should have reunited the baddies, brought in Kiera Hogan and Red Velvet again, or had new baddies come in with Layla Gray. They should have all started kicking Taya Valkyrie, and then Chris Statlander comes out to rescue her, and there you go. Now you have a feud with Taya and Chris Statlander, and Jade and the baddies, or Jade wants to take some time off, just the baddies, and you could do different combinations for the next 5, 6, 7 weeks, and then you do some injury angle with Taya so that you're not wondering why she's not getting the shot, or a triple threat or whatever, and you have Chris Statlander win at your next pay-per-view or Collision or something, build it for something. Instead, he blows the load all in one night instead of booking for the future, even though there's not a single booker in the world that's ever had more things to book than this man has to book.
I know, that's true, man. And Todd with the comment of the night, Layla Gray looked like she stepped off the Vegas Strip, just saying.
Well, listen, they gave Taya like the two Vegas girls dancing there. I mean, that was a little bit of a swerve. Listen, Tony spared no expense.
And Medium 5's in the house. What up, Mikey? And why the fuck all of a sudden she gets a match? And I'm assuming he's talking about the alien.
Oh, well, I'm not sure she's an alien. Is she even an alien anymore?
I don't think she is anymore. She's from New York now.
Right, okay. There you go. So it's a different kind of alien. Why did she get a match? Because there was an open challenge and her music hit. I mean, there you go. I mean, what more do you need? But again, we have a guy who has now 3 TV shows to book: Ring of Honor, Forbidden Door 2, Collision, the debut, and you're going to need to book strongly the next few weeks of it as well. You have All In, All Out, presumably something for Ring of Honor in between there at some point. And then Full Gear is right around the corner. I mean, he's got a million things to book for, but like a storyline that he can sort of stretch out for, until 1 or 2 pay-per-views. Nope. Just blows the title in something that was completely unimpactful. And whatever the impact would have been of her return, it's the same if she gets a match as if she returns to make a rescue.
Yeah, well, Todd brings up an interesting point. They should have done this at All In or All Out, so we got a bigger pop. They like to blow their load already, Todd. You know this. You know how they work.
I mean, can you imagine this guy in sex? I mean, he never gets to it. He'd be one who opens the door and says, "I'm sorry, excuse me."
Man. I don't know. This is dumb, stupid. It doesn't even make Statlander look good. The fans didn't even give a shit. They really didn't give a fuck. I didn't hear a pop. Did you? I mean, I didn't.
I'm not even sure a lot of them knew who she was.
Unbelievable, man.
And she's a tough investment. And not to be too cynical, but if I'm the booker, I would have had this feud not just for the wrestling, helping me book shows and having some interesting storylines for like to have like 6, 7, or 8 women involved in for the next couple of months, but also to test her durability. You know, she's a risky investment.
Absolutely risky. I mean, her knees are shot. Hasn't she had how many knee surgeries at this point?
I think 3.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, that's pathetic. You know what I'm saying? But anyway,
I hope she's reconstructed. I hope she's pretty good. I mean, people are making her out to be better than she was, but she has improved. I mean, she is. But I mean, I don't see her as being great like some people do. But yeah, she could prove me wrong. That's fine. Again, I would just have her prove her durability while having storylines go on the 97 shows he's got. Between now and then.
Well, we've got a guest in the house, actually, Jeff.
You're letting more guests in the house?
No, this one is a good guest, as a matter of fact. It is Jamie the Vet Williams.
Oh, my goodness. Man. This is a good guest.
He's got some shit to say, so
Jimmy,
please.
Jimmy, you better take that link out of the chat before everybody tries to jump in.
No, they're not coming in. Don't worry. It's all good.
Are you sure? Yeah, take it down anyway, because we don't need anybody else coming in.
That's true.
How you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
Great.
Talk your talk.
I'm fucking pissed. I just got done doing the Impact attack, so thanks for running opposite that, by the way. And
I didn't know.
I just had to tear down everything that they fucking did because they suck at this. And now I'm here to jump in because while I'm still hot, I might as well talk about AEW and how bad they are at this. And I heard you guys talking about Chris Statlander. Well, you just fucked Jade Cargill. There goes that right down the toilet. Everything that you did with that, building that up, making her look like an idiot, making Chris Statlander look stupid because she's the babyface coming in to steal a win from a heel that just wrestled a match. And nobody gives a fuck about Chris Statlander except the people in that room, like a few of them. But other than that, I don't really see how this helps anybody in this situation. This is a perfect example of how you almost did something right for a long time, and then you completely flush it down the toilet in like 30 seconds. What the fuck was any of this? Can you make sense of this?
Oh, we can't. We're trying to figure it out ourselves. I mean, we agree 100%.
Well, spoiler alert, there is no figuring it out. It is just, you just fucked 2 people out of anything good.
And Taya. You didn't do her any favors either.
Whatever, she's washed. It's done for her. There's nothing there anymore. There questionably ever was, but that's beside the point. If you want to include her, go ahead. Might as well. 3 for 1. You're not even important enough to be the only thing on Jade Cargill's mind this evening. So here you go. Thanks for coming. Bye-bye. And, by the way, let's kick out your finish too. Just to throw that extra little something on there. Now, I don't know. What is there to say really? I mean, you can't defend this. Nobody can defend this.
No,
it's exciting in the sense that people pop anytime a title changes hands. It's conditioning. They don't care if it makes sense. It'll sink in later how dumb it was for the average fan. Actually, if they would have done this, if they think about it at all, they probably won't. But at least in the moment, people love to see a title change hands. Great. Yeah, title change hands. One title. What could you possibly say? You could say, well, they're getting the TBS belt off of Jade because she needs to go for the real belt now. Well, I don't really see that happening with the story they set up with Tony. That's not a match anybody would really want to see right at this moment in time. So if we're doing that means you got to figure out something else for Jade to do while Tony's wrapped up in whatever other bullshit they're going to have her wrapped up in. If you just want to give this belt to Chris Statlander, it's like, well, you're not even doing the same thing you were doing the last time we saw you, whenever that was. So, we already knew that she hadn't been an alien for a while. We know that.
Yeah.
Okay, so
from New York now, Vet.
Yeah, from New York, which there's a lot of aliens in New York.
That's what Jeff
some of them legal, some of them not. Sting wrote a song about it. It's great.
Some of them on this planet, some of them not.
That's right. So, that right there, I don't know. It's pretty. Don't get struck down, Jimmy. Don't get struck down.
The only thing you can say about this, and this is thin, the only thing you'd say about this is that people are getting ever less patient with Jade's run. So you took the belt off of her before there was an outward revolt, and you sort of protected her by having it be a second match, and her dopey, not manager, back to being manager again, making the stipulation for her. That's just thin. It's wafer thin. I agree with you, but if you want me to try to defend in any way, shape, or form, that's the one positive that I.
Well, even that, Jeff, is like, you wanted Jade to be a heel. She's been a bitchy, unapologetic heel since day fucking one, and she's never stopped. The only thing that's changed is that because people know, hey, it's just wrestling, and hey, this is just fun, and this is all a show, we're enjoying Jade's bitchiness. We like her saying, cut the shit. We like when she minimizes people, you know, like, and brushes them off and treats her friends like garbage and cycles them out like, you know, new socks. Right. Like, we like all that, and we're applauding it. And she's also an impressive athlete and physical specimen, and she's pretty and everything else. She's cool, and she's everything that we like in wrestlers and wrestling. So you're not even making her be a heel, right? But in the one thing that you could say, Jeff, like, to your point is, well, people are tired of her being the champion. Well, that's the only heat she's going to get, because she's doing everything else that's getting a positive response from the audience.
Right.
So now you flush that down the toilet as well. You know, you're going to make her be like sympathetic in this situation because she just competed and then she got beat. So it's like she's got a gripe. And I guess if they think they're going to make it like a situation where she's going to gripe and that's going to get her heat for griping about losing and complaining, it's not going to work because it makes sense and anybody would think so and anybody would agree. Why of all the people, this is another thing that doesn't make sense. Why of all the people that she's had around her that she thinks is cool, that she's had like Stokely Hathaway or whatever,
right? Yeah,
and brushed all these people off, but why is Mark Sterling okay to hang around? Like, there's nothing that Mark Sterling, the character, would do to impress Jade Cargill in any way. So it seems like she would definitely be tired of him, and he wouldn't have even stuck around to the point where he could cost her a championship match in this fashion. So it doesn't even make sense that this would ever happen. And it's not something like it's not something like a heel would do, to be like, look how strong my heel is that can beat anybody and just a parade of people on any given night. No, you'd be like, oh, Chris Statlander's coming out. Change my mind. I just remembered we had something to do. Let's get out of here. And then that right there, you can lead to a buildup of something between the two. And then that might get her a little bit of heat.
Or you could have done what they did, except once Chris Statlander started getting the better of Jade, Layla Gray and Mark Sterling come in there, and Mark Sterling like throws his briefcase in there and it trips her up or whatever, and then they all get out of Dodge, you know, so that the crowd feels like it was robbed of that pop. Whatever. There were a million things that pretty much anything they could have done would have been better than what they did.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, where do we go with Jade from here now? I mean, honestly, like, they killed her, like you said, Vet. They've killed Statlander in some ways because she needed a half, like, fucked up Jade to get the win anyway. And Taya Valkyrie, she's just a loser. Yep. So what do you do here? Like, Vet, do you have any idea where do you go from here? They should have saved this at least for Dynamite, even if they really wanted to do this, but they didn't.
Yeah, and then you would have had a nice marquee match for your show or whatever, but no, there's nothing you can do. There is absolutely nothing you can do. Whatever they do will be probably the worst option they could take, or one of the worst ones. Short of, and this is still bad.
I know what you're going to say. I've got
as I say this,
exactly what you're going to say. Right.
As I say this, know that this is bad.
I know,
but she needs to come out and immediately beat Toni Storm and take that belt off her.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that. I knew it. I was going to say the same thing. I kid you not. I was going to say the same thing. Have her go out and beat Toni Storm on Dynamite, but be pissed about it. Be angry and just squash her, even though it's bad, like you said.
Stone cold kind of face. But she would have to turn on Mark Sterling first. I mean, the only thing that made sense, and I don't know if it's true or not, I think what one of the comments said, I heard
Todd?
someone said, I heard, this is their comment, in quotes, I heard Jade's taking some time off. That's the only thing that makes sense. That she takes some time
Let her
off.
take time off with the belt.
Yeah,
Let her carry the belt around with her on her time off.
Well, they don't have a lot of belts there.
Yeah, I know it's going to hurt their belt count, but like she'll be prominently on social media displaying it, so it'll keep it fresh in people's minds, and it'll feel like it never went anywhere.
True. While we have you, like, what were like some of your high points or low points of this card up until this match?
All low points.
Okay.
What happened? What happened before this? I forget. I forget
like
the order.
Activity. So, what were your thoughts on Jeff Hardy? Do you think that
That's
was
exactly what I was
a
gonna
botch, or do you think that was part of the show?
I wasn't paying attention to that.
Okay.
Wow.
I was watching Hook the whole time, even when he was on the apron.
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
Well, Hook can do moves when people walk to him. Otherwise, he can't do anything except for those body blows. But Jimmy and
That's
Chris
a skill. That's a skill. It's called, stand in the middle and let them feed. It's brilliant. Every babyface should learn it.
We're learning things all the time.
And what about Orange Cassidy winning the Battle Royal?
Of course. Who else?
Who else exactly?
What were your thoughts on the Battle Royal? Was it exciting? Did you think it was well choreographed?
No, I like that Jay White was there, and I like that Keith Lee was there. See, here's the thing, guys. Wrestling sucks. All of it. Every show, every promotion, everything sucks. So all you can do, and I was just saying this on the Impact Attack, which you can see on Hami Media Group on channelattitude.com. But what I was saying was that the only appreciation you can ever have for wrestling anymore is you can have it in a vacuum, piece by piece. I've told you this, Jimmy. Jeff, I probably said it, in your presence as well. You take what you like about wrestling a la carte. If you like a wrestler, don't worry about if you're going to like the match they're in. Just enjoy the fact that you're seeing them. That's it. It's almost like looking at an 8x10. Like, oh, nice glossy 8x10. That's great. And then move on, because you're not going to get good matches. You're not going to get good stories. You're not going to get good anything for the most part. You have to take everything in a vacuum. We're not going to be saying, oh, this was a good show. No, it wasn't. It's just, so when I'm looking at a battle royal with 20 or thereabouts guys that I don't give a fuck about, I'm only watching the guys I like to see how they do in these situations. So I watch Jay, I watch Keith Lee, I watch, Orange Cassidy when the focus is on him, I guess. And everybody else is just there wasting time. So there was a lot of trash in this battle royal too.
What do you think about the unsanctioned match with Cole and Jericho?
Did I watch that either? Like, it was on fast forward. Like, if I was watching it was on fast forward for sure. Okay. But I don't care about these guys. It was weird. It was like, you could tell, this is one of those things where a problem in wrestling is that guys are doing this thing where, like, they're doing stuff that obviously can't be worked, and because everybody knows wrestling is so phony now in terms of the presentation, they're doing more real shit than ever. So when he's telling Adam Cole, hey, get on me and shoot punch me in the face, even though you're still not throwing shoot punches because you don't want to break your hand. So you're like doing a little weird thing with your wrist or whatever, but really hit me. Yeah, really hit me. We got to make this look good. Don't worry, Chris. It don't look good. It won't look good no matter what you do. Nothing you've done has looked good for, how long ago was 2008? 15 years? So
already.
Yeah, don't worry about that. Don't take the shoot punches in the face worrying about if it looks good when you're in the middle of all this trash.
Cole, he was short arming it with the chain, but in fairness to the rest of the world, it's because he wrapped the chain around his own leg too many times, and so that his punches with his left. I'm sure he's a righty, so at least he tried. But it was pitiful.
Well, there's a question for you here, Vet. Do you think Under Siege was better than Double or Nothing? From Todd.
God.
So I'm assuming Under Siege was pretty bad.
Well, one was shorter.
Under Siege, right?
Yeah, but it had more egregious shit in it, I guess. Because the thing about Impact is, I mean, bless them, they try to do some classic pro wrestling stuff once in a while, and then they just get a little carried away with the sports entertainment. So they're kind of on like a, it's peaks and valleys for them. AEW is like on a red line, hot shotting all the time stuff. So you're desensitized to everything you're seeing. There's no there's no come down, there's no, there's no breathers. There's just, let's everybody just do everything you can think of in every match, to the point that when you have like a regular match, like say a Tony Storm versus Jamie Hayter, even that, which had a bunch of shit in it, but it was like one of the only matches that didn't have like a stipulation of some kind on it. And they tried to, that stands out almost, when everything has a stipulation for no reason, or even when it has a reason, it's still, but I mean, what's the difference? You're still, whether there's a reason or not, you're still looking at the same thing every week.
Right. Yeah, and they have these special matches every week. So then, I mean, when everything's extraordinary, nothing's extraordinary. Everything's ordinary. Yes. When everything's extreme, nothing's extreme. It's called hot-shotting. If you guys hear that word, you're wrestling fans, you hear that word, hot-shotting, and people use it in a disparaging manner. If you don't know what it means, this is what it means. What you're seeing at AEW is the hot-shottingest of hot-shottings that has ever hot-shotted in the history of the wrestling business. And that's saying a lot, because the Attitude Era was a lot of hot-shotting. Well, this is IV of constant. It's not even hot-shotting. It's a steady stream. It's just a hot stream. Yeah, I know. It's like a new level of hot-shotting. Yeah, we've all OD'd. Yeah. Like we've checked out, and we... then it makes us sound bad, because we sound like we're always negative, because a lot of people don't explain the reasons why this stuff is bad, because we don't have time to explain it, because we have so much to explain, and you guys only do podcasts for about an hour and a half, 2 hours, 2.5 hours. That's not enough time to explain why everything's wrong. I'd have to give everybody a history lesson on every single match that's ever existed to explain why this didn't work, why this worked in the past. It's yes, you did it in the territory days. To attack as the show for you, opinion haver. Ha Oh, let's not talk about that. Let's just move on to. I know you've got 12 more shows to do on WWE content, so we'll save. Oh well, yeah, we do. We'll save Night of Champions. That you guys already covered it. We've already covered that. Thank God, timely. But since you're here, you might as well stay with us for the last two matches that we're going to talk about. Oh, do you have any other questions on previous matches? I mean, what was good? Was there anything that you like? You said everything was low points, but I don't think that you didn't find anything positive in the show. I don't believe when I hear myself saying this, but thank goodness for Jeff Jarrett, because at least his matches slow down and they're close to what a traditional wrestling match would be. Come on, he's great, Vit. He's great. God, like, traditional wrestle crap. If that was going to look, they okay. Here's another term that you guys hear a lot and may not know exactly what it means. Overbooked. Okay, this is what overbooked means. You had that finish, whatever that finish was, where it's like, oh, Mark's going to slap you and you're going to, he's finally had enough of as a referee and, he's going to slap the heel and the heel's going to take the finish and 1, 2, 3. Like, that's your finish, okay? But before that, we got to get Karen Jarrett. We got to get guitar shots galore. We got to get ref bumps. We got to get a ref bump on a wrestler, with a guitar. We got to do all this other stuff just to get to that one simple finish. Like, you did way too much in this match. It was way too long and way too boring. And Jeff Jarrett was out of it for so long. I was like, is he injured? Because Jay Lethal is in here for like the length of the entire Under Siege pay-per-view. I thought he was never going to tag out. So at first I thought Jeff must have been hurt or something, but he just wanted to, as a classic wrestler, make his booking. But apparently he was fine. It just was really, really bad psychology. It felt like a Jarrett booked match, that's for sure. Right. Well, this would have been a TNA main event for sure, but here 100%. It's dead in the middle of the card. Well, I felt that the unsanctioned match was way overbooked, and the ladder match was ridiculously overbooked. I understand entirely what you're saying about the Jarrett match being overbooked, but at least like things happen one at a time so you could follow them and see them, as opposed to like everything happening all the time everywhere. So, and listen, having Karen Jarrett hit Aubrey Effords over the head with the guitar was probably all I needed to view this. And just fall over. She fell over like Goldberg after his 50+ year old comeback. But I mean,
that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, overbooked, but compared to everything else, hardly at all. It just, that's what would have been overbooked back in the day. And now, because you've got all these other things, like ladder match, not enough. We got to get everybody else in the world involved in that too. You know what I mean? Like, it can't just be, hey, let's send Luchasaurus to the back. Oh, guess what? He's coming back out. Like, fuck that. Just start the match as a 2-on-1. Just do it. Have Arn Anderson literally bring a gun at this point. Who cares? Like, it's nothing you do can save this mess, And how is Christian taking these bumps on the ladder? What is he doing that for? What is wrong with him?
What about Sabu taking that table spot that looked like it broke his freaking hips?
Well, that's Sabu. That's what he's always done. What else can he do? So
I think he did break his hip, to be honest with you, or something.
His hip was broken before he walked out there. So I mean, yeah, but I mean, FTR gets a lot of praise, best tag team, whatever, all this other bullshit. They don't know shit about tag team psychology other than what they've gotten from old tapes. Like, they copy the old tapes, but they don't know why the things were done back in the day. They have no understanding of it. Either that or it's either that, because I see that on lots of their matches, or in this particular case, it could have been they're just bowing to the seniority of the JJ&J and saying, all right, if you guys want to do all this shit, whatever, I guess we'll try to go along with it, because
we call them nobody lethal here.
Yeah, we're not going to try to tell you guys what to do. So we end up with what we end up with. But
it could be that. It could be that.
So yeah, that was a low point for me, because I expect more out of all those guys, and I got what I got.
I see. Okay, I'm trying to look for positives.
See, you're trying.
I am trying, and it's hard for me to try.
I know, because we don't want to be totally. I mean, we already bashed your show as it is, right?
Well, let's instead of trying to put him to the spot on the various matches,
let's just continue on.
He can interject whenever he thinks something that was particularly bad or particularly good during the course of the show. But let's move on with the card.
All right. Well, next we have your AEW World Championship match. It is MJF, your champion, against Jungle Boy, Darby Allin, and Sammy Guevara. And I just want to start off by saying this match went for way too long, and I felt like it was overbooked also. Mm-hmm. But that's just me.
Actually, I want to cede some of my time, because I didn't like this, but I want to hear it from the vet, because I want him to explain to people why one would not like this match, because I'm hearing people talk about this being one of the best four-way matches of all time.
Get the fuck out of here.
I'm not sure it was the best four-way match of the night. I liked almost nothing about this match, so I don't know what to say.
All right. So let's start with the obvious thing that everybody's going to say. The spot where they all, corner MJF toward the beginning, and walk him down, and he's in the corner, and you see the size of everybody in this match. Mm-hmm. I mean, that tells a picture paints 1,000 words, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So there you go. MJF can be small. Him being who he is doesn't work short. He's not small. He's short. But him being the character he is doesn't work if he's 6'3". So he needs to be that size. Everybody else, though, and Darby Allin, because he actually can work, and because he's a maniac, and everything that he does makes some sort of twisted sense. You can have a guy like that in your company. But when you should not expose all these guys by standing there together, which I've done multiple times, to let you know, and that opens you up for the commentary from the peanut gallery of these are pillars, your optics are the first thing that your detractors are going to say. So even though I like Darby and I like MJF and I don't give a fuck about the other two guys, but there is a point to what people are saying when they say that, to a degree. But the reason that the match isn't good is because this is one of those things where MJF does not have the agency to take control of it. Because he can work with any one of these guys and settle them down to a degree and get a good match out of them. But in this case, he has no choice but to let them do the kind of shit that they do. Sammy Guevara is another, maniac, but he can't work like Darby can if he chooses to. So what you essentially get is a series of stunts, and he's in no man's land because he's too unlikable to be a babyface, and his moves are too flashy to get heat.
But they're pregnant.
Right. So it's like, what are we doing here? You're leaning out of the one thing that you've got, right? So now we make that announcement just in case anybody was thinking about booing Sammy tonight. You can't boo a new father. It's like, what the fuck ever. But besides that,
yes, I can.
yeah, okay, you can. Yeah, we've all proved that you can boo an Olympic gold medalist. You can definitely boo an expectant father. So, all right. You know what, Jimmy? You're making it sound worse when you do that. Don't rim shot me. You can rim shot Jeff's jokes if you want.
I keep telling him to put his hands where we can see them.
Yeah. That's a good advice in any capacity. So, but yeah. So Sammy's stuck in no man's land, and he always will be because he won't stop doing, amazing athletic moves, even though.
Don't touch anything. You're thinking about it, Jimmy. I see that look on your face.
No.
He's reading the chat.
Elizabeth's,
I knew he was gonna.
Elizabeth's thing up, comment up by saying what we just said about how Sammy's going to be a dad now, so we're supposed to like him and Tay now.
Yeah,
and thank you for joining us, Elizabeth.
Sure, you were all heels until this moment.
No, look at Todd's. If they have a girl, hopefully they won't name her Pam. To that one.
Yeah. So anyway, like I said, he's so that guy's in no man's land. Jungle Boy. I mean, look, what can I say that everybody else hasn't already said and been right about? There's only one reason why he's even at all doing anything. We know why. He's part of the business. That's it. There's one reason, and that one reason only. Okay. So as soon as he fucks off and decides this finally isn't for him, will be a great day for everybody, because other than that, he's a void of charisma, skill, everything. And even what I was saying about Sammy about being able to do amazing stuff, he's fucking up now. He's fucked up at least twice in this and almost died. So he can't even do that anymore. And he looks more malnourished than he ever has. Did you guys notice that?
Pale, man.
Yeah. Where's his tan? Where's his chest? Where's his arms? Where's anything he used to have? He looks like he lost 20 pounds in a sauna. But if that had anything to contribute to how unathletic he was compared to his normal self, so now he doesn't have the one thing that he's got going for him in the
sauna. All of these guys, not at all. Jungle Boy and Sammy Guevara, about 2.5 years ago, they both seemed to make a concerted effort to put some bulk on, and both of them did, and it was noticeable because they're such small guys, but they were doing it, and it looked like it was all natural, and they were doing it. And then something happened. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was the Punk came and they just gave up or whatever it was, but they stopped, and like everyone in the company seemed to stop at the same time, with the exception of like Hobbs and Brian Cage, of course, and a few others that they're not doing it for the. Well, I don't want to put motivation on why they're doing it, but it's part of their lives. But these two guys, they just dropped it all, and then they've actually regressed from where they were when I first saw Sammy Guevara versus Kip Sabian, and it's a stark contrast because Kip Sabian actually has won me over, and Kip Sabian has put on that 20 pounds that he needed to be barely believable, even in this modern era. But
I wouldn't go that far, but all right.
Yeah, I wouldn't go that far, Jeff.
Listen, Kip Sabian won me over in, I think it was still the All Atlantic title when he was doing that match with Orange Cassidy, and somehow he made that thing work. And I don't like Orange Cassidy. I don't like those matches, but I really enjoyed that one, and I put it all on Kip. So listen, and plus I've been pretty cruel to him on social media, like to his face, and he's always rolled with it. He's never really cared, which is cool.
To his digital face.
Right. Yeah. And because I'm a nobody, why should he care? But some people do. They get all uptight. Like him and Joey Janela just roll with everything. They don't care. And my sword is theirs. I pledge my fealty to them, my cyber fealty anyway.
Enough about him.
Right. In any event, the whole point Jungle Boy being in there this night was for that spot where he was going to turn heel. Maybe he was going to turn heel, but even then he botched that by not turning heel.
Yeah, how would you turn heel?
Well, he was supposed to hit somebody with the belt, which really isn't even turning heel because somebody else had introduced it. So
that's just a normal part of wrestling now. It's not a heel move anymore.
Well, it's true, especially when someone else introduced the foreign object into the match to begin with. I mean, you're allowed to do turnabout.
Yeah, and in a it's not a tag team match.
True.
So
Well, that's true
whatever.
too, right. But it's supposed to be the white meat baby face that doesn't hit anybody with a foreign object, right? So
Yeah. So
we're going by AEW's fucking thought process over here, the way they book things.
Well, I absolutely hate it. I want to know what they all did their submission finishers in the figure four, basically, and in like becoming a human rhombus.
yeah, not fashionable to say in 2023, but a little gay. also because what are you going to do if they give up? Like if multiple people give up, nobody gets to win. So
That's
what's
why
the
it's
point?
a dumb spot, right? What would happen?
Well, it was also dumb that you needed 4 referees to figure out who gave up first.
And watching Remsburg like rotate around with his stupid exaggerated pantomiming and stuff. Like
Fucking hate it. He's the worst referee in
It looked like he was playing
AEW.
Duck, Duck,
they're all
Goose,
tied
or,
for worst.
Yeah, that's true too.
ring around the Rosie or something. I mean,
And
so I thought that was a terrible. That whole match was terribly choreographed.
Why is he always? Yeah, it was very choreographed. But why is he always looking like he's playing video games, man?
He's playing a Game Boy like every time somebody's in a submission
Like, what
hold.
the
Yeah.
fuck? What's up with that? And he's not even looking at him. He's looking the other way half the time doing this.
Because he thinks he's fucking over. Because all these referees are failed wrestlers that think that they could, this is their shot. So they try to get their shit in just like a wrestler does, except they're a ref.
Well, you know how people say maybe we're in the Matrix? Well, maybe AEW actually is the Matrix, and maybe Remsburg is actually playing that match on the video game.
Which is available June 29th.
And it
So
looks like
pre-order
shit.
now.
Did you how
Yeah.
many copies have you pre-ordered that?
I've pre-ordered 0 copies.
You won't need
Because you don't need to pre-order shit when it's digital. So I will
Yeah,
be getting my
exactly.
digital copy.
Well, I
And
doubled
then-
that pre-order.
to. Is it even coming up is it coming out in the physical copy sense too, Vet, or is it?
Well, they're showing
Probably
it in
will,
the corner in several matches. They're letting you know that it's going to be available on any of the platforms that you love. So
I
you
will
can,
buy
you can
it.
get it at GameStop right now. I'm sure you can walk into a GameStop and
probably
say,
can.
yes, $5 down on, or double or nothing on Fight Forever, please.
It
And
looks like shit, and it's
Yep.
outdated.
and
Not
if it
for
doesn't
why-
come back, if it doesn't come out on the 29th, you get $10.
Why am I buying it? You said, Jeff, because I
You said
just
it looks
will.
like shit. Why are you
Because
buying it?
because I want to just play it anyway, just so I can.
It could
laugh
be
at
fun.
but
It could be fun to play even if it looks bad, like the graphics.
right. The
you know?
gameplay does look half decent.
The
But
animation looks choppy in those previews, but maybe, it could be fun. And at very least, like for people like me who use it as content creation, it'd give me something that I can stream. And even if it's bad, I can laugh at it. And if it's good, I can enjoy it. So it's a win-win either way. But regardless of that, yes, Rise Remsburg sucks. This match sucked. MJF was in it, and that's what I was saying earlier about a vacuum. I'm just watching MJF exist in this vacuum and hoping that he doesn't get hurt doing something stupid that he agreed to do. And I guess he didn't get hurt, so we're all lucky there. I didn't get a chance to watch the media scrum yet either, but I will
Neither
only
have
be
I.
watching his portion of it. Be assured of that.
I'm curious to watch it though, so I will. check
He
it
was
out
there and he
myself.
looked healthy.
All right, good.
Well, one more thing before we move on. MJF does retain his AEW World Championship, and like you said, Vet, I agree with you. I'm
With
going
the headlock takeover.
with the headlock takeover. Got the 1,
That
2,
was
3.
clever.
But I agree with you when it comes to Darby and MJF. I've said the same thing. MJF and Darby, for me, are the only two guys that are arguably 2 out of the 4 pillars, right? The other 2, get the fuck out of here,
I
man.
don't even think Darby's a pillar, and that's not to put him down. I think
I'm
that
going
he's
by the young pillars, not
I think-
actual
I
pillar
think
in the
he's
company.
a great member of an ensemble in a wrestling cast, but I don't think he's got a personality, but it's only one personality. It doesn't go up. It just is what it is, and so I wouldn't I would say he'd be part of your top 10, but not your top 4. Even I mean, he's ruined himself as well, but like Adam Page should be one of your pillars. At least
Yeah,
a good
but-
wrestler.
Technically, Butterfly. We'll get to him in a moment. But
Useless. Adam Page
what-
is useless.
And-
The thing about Darby Allin is he's that guy that's like that guy over there. Like if this was a real locker room or whatever, he's not going to be part of a group because it's like, oh, that's that guy. We don't talk about him. And then he comes out and has matches, and they have varying degrees of, importance based on what the show needs at that current given time. A lot of time, Darby was languishing in sort of the middle of the card and doing jobs every other week because he would be up against guys that look like they should beat him, and then they did. But he stays over whether he wins or loses.
Right.
He's shown that he's dangerous enough to beat anybody. He's also shown that other people are dangerous enough to beat him. So, and he can be his own worst enemy. So the story there is sound. His booking has been sound as in AEW standards, of course. But that's the thing that I would advise any wrestler to do. You can't come up with some gimmick that's dependent on you getting a major push or being undefeated. You can't expect to be a Jade Cargill, or you can't expect to be, whatever, like a Goldberg 98, 97. You can't expect to be that. Of course, everybody wants to, when I was at OVW, Ryback was like, I got this gimmick where like, I'm like a Terminator and I don't sell and I beat everybody. I'm like, everybody wants that gimmick, motherfucker. You don't get to just decide that. But if you lose, then you look stupid. So you have to come up with something that whether you win or you lose has no bearing on who you are, whether people will pay to see you. Darby Allin has done that. That's why he's smart. That's why he's a good worker. That's why he would be considered a pillar in the sense of very important to this company, because he's not somebody that came from somewhere else and made their name and is now just cashing a paycheck for less work. That's how you look at Darby Allin.
Right, that's a great point. That's actually a very good point. Well, let's get onto the main event.
Co-main.
Co-main event. Anarchy in the Arena match between the Blackpool Combat Club.
But this was MJF's best line in the media scrum. Somebody asked, how do you feel about the world title match not going on last in the main event? He goes, I feel great about it. Do you think I wanted to be swimming in John Moxley's blood? Are you crazy? Or something like that. Well, it was the line of the night.
That's a good point, though, actually. Yeah. So that is funny. Well, like I said, it is Blackpool Combat Club versus the Elite. All right, look, first of all, before I give it off to you guys.
Wait, before you give it off to yourself, okay. I'm just going to say, I skipped almost all of this.
Really?
And I watched a lot of wrestling this weekend, whether it was at 2x speed or regular speed, but I watched a lot of it, and I was like, I ain't watching this shit. Fuck that. I hate almost everybody in here. So I just saw the finish, and that's it. So there you go.
Well, with what you said, I don't blame you, and I understand where you're coming from. But as whacked out as this match was, it was fun. It was a fun mess. Let's look at it like that. But production couldn't keep up with it. That's what sucked the most, I felt. And some spots were just dangerous, man. I mean, we'll get to it in a moment, but that spot with Matt Jackson super kicking, was it fucking Costagnoli, and an explosion went off right in the face onto Moxley. Sorry, it was on Moxley. That, as crazy and dumb as that looked,
led to nothing. Someone on Twitter, I think his handle is like JJ or whatever. He's a positive guy. He loves AEW. He's got a significant Twitter following, but he's not someone that, like, if you criticize, he goes, touch grass, die, and you're a pedophile. He's not like one of those. And I'm like, listen, the spot was interesting, but it led to nothing. And he's like, well, didn't it lead to Moxley later taking off Matt Jackson's shoes and using and putting thumbtacks in his mouth? And I'm like, listen, I'm not sure if it did or if it didn't, but what it should have led to would be John Moxley writhing in pain because his face was burned, and that would lead to the end of the match, or at least
that should have been the finish, really. Right.
Or at least that would have been why John Moxley wasn't involved in the match for the next 7 or 8 minutes, explaining why Don Callis and Takeshita came in, and the faces are getting over, and then they think they're really getting over, and then they're betrayed. But no, it led to nothing, and you only think that's the reason why you took off his shoe. I mean, why did he come only with one firecracker? Why wasn't he fully loaded, like he's on the Hardy compound? So while that was an interesting spot, it led to nothing. I think that's sort of what Jamie's been saying all night long. It's like, everything's overbooked, but everything is doing everything all the time, all at once, and almost none of it has any reason or rhyme, consequence, or lasting effect. I mean, at least when mist is blown, you generally know that's the end of a match. I don't know. Go ahead.
Well, exactly. Why would you stop at a firecracker? Why wouldn't you bring an M80? Why wouldn't you bring a hand grenade? You know, why wouldn't you bring C4? Why wouldn't you just bring a bazooka? Why not? There's no rules. Why do you stop yourself short at stupid things like, why in 2023 are people still using thumbtacks? Who fucking cares about a thumbtack? If I had a thumbtack right now, I would slam my hand down onto it just to prove a point to you people. Yes, it hurts, but it's not that kind of hurt. It's not the kind of hurt that would incapacitate you in a fight for your life. So why is it always in a velvet pouch? Right. Do they sell thumbtacks in velvet pouches at Ace Hardware?
Yeah, the thumbtack store. Like you used to have those things that people throw down on the roads to flatten tires.
Yeah, why not that?
Spikes, the strips.
Yeah, the chain spikes.
Whatever.
Why not caltrops? Why do we stop at the smallest version of whatever we think of? You know what I mean? Like, for just a simple example, right? Big Bill's going to choke slam somebody. He's on the floor. He slams him on the apron. Fuck that. Slam him on the floor. It hurts way more than the apron. I know the apron's the hardest part of the ring, but you know what's harder than the apron? The fucking floor. It's a farther drop and it hurts more. So why are you slamming him on the apron? And it's the same thing. You apply that, extrapolate that across everything that you do in these garbage matches. You know, why do you stop at, thumbtacks when you could just get a hammer and nails and just build a house on somebody? Like what is the there's no rules. You're telling us there's no rules, and then you just think of clever ways to apply it to wrestling moves and things like that. Like, no, it's not clever. It's actually dumber.
This match is just crazy, man, in every sense. Even though it was obvious the way it's going. Look, this is all leading to Kota Ibushi returning and debuting into AEW. 100%. That's why it had to be what it was with the finish. But man, this was nuts, dude. These guys have got to be sore after this match. That's all I got to say.
You can't. Kota Ibushi can't use tacks or anything like that because it'll completely deflate his opponent.
Well, that's right. I just caught up with that one. This match was crazy, but it was exactly what you would have expected it would be. Right. So it was exactly what was promised, and
that's why it wasn't as bad as you would have thought.
Right, because you're right. The production was bad. It was hard to keep up with so many things going on as once, which is why selling injuries and explosions would have been something. So the camera could have focused on, two pairs, fighting someplace, or or a beatdown or something like that, instead of having to pay attention everywhere. This shouldn't be one of those things where, how you watch certain movies or things just so that you catch different things. Like, wrestling shouldn't have to be that. You should be able to digest pretty much all of it in one take. That's the way I feel about it anyway. I mean, maybe if you're going to be a professional and you're needing to study tape to see what you should do and how to act, how you should play the different roles, that's different. You're studying. That's part of your job. That's professional improvement. But for me, as someone watching it, I should be able to see pretty much everything that's going on just by paying attention. And it was hard to do, but the match was basically enjoyable. It was probably the best event on this card.
It actually was.
It doesn't hurt that me, you, half the world predicted that Don Callis and Takeshita would turn on the Elite and the bad guys will win, mostly to carry this thing forward because, it's got to go on forever. And of course, since the Elite can't play with Punk, and apparently Moxley doesn't want to play with Punk, that means the BCC can't play with Punk, even though there's no B. They should just turn themselves to the ICC, the International Combat Club at this point, because they had now a Japanese guy who's also not from Blackpool, or did they? But we're going to be seeing combinations of this going on forever, and it's going to be Blood and Guts. What's different about Blood and Guts and Anarchy in the Arena? I have no fucking idea. But,
wait, it's War Games, I think, Blood and Guts in the cage, isn't it? Like War Games rules?
Yeah, you can't go in the crowd and in the backstage and in the parking lot and all that stuff. You got to stay in the cage, unless you get out of the cage and climb up on top of the cage.
Do you think Santana's still stuck in there somewhere?
Oh, true. I wonder where he's been.
Anyway, this match was fun. I mean, this is what they promised. This is what you got. Whether if you're not going to like this kind of match, you hated it. If you're going to like this kind of match, you loved it. But as far as this card was concerned, this was probably the high point for an event status. As far as the matches were concerned, I mean, again, this is a low bar. But for me, the FTR match, House of Black match, and believe it or not, the Tony Storm match, these 4 matches were the only ones that I looked at all positively.
And really, the whole
God,
card
that House
sucked,
of Black
let's
match,
be
I
honest.
literally dragged the progress bar across on that one. I'm like, no, I'm not even
didn't
going to
watch
watch
it
this
either.
in a different speed. I'm not watching this at all. Fuck every single person in this match. Seriously,
No,
useless.
but really-
all of them.
But when you break it down, the whole fucking show really was atrocious for a pay per
I
view. That's
love
what we
finding
said
someone
that
more
from the start.
negative than me.
Right? No, but for real, we even said it before we went live, right, Jeff? We said this show sucked. Like it really did. It really sucked. Other than very few matches. And even though we say that, it doesn't mean those matches were any good anyway. Though they still sucked, right? But if we had to get any high points in this whole fucking card, it was what Jeff mentioned. I didn't agree with the trios match. I didn't like that myself. I didn't mind a tag match.
myself enough to watch 4.5 hours and not like any of it.
Well, that's it. Like we're trying to be kind of.
You wouldn't be
positive.
doing it if you didn't have to do this right now, Jeff. You wouldn't have watched this on your own time and enjoyed it with a smile. Not 1 second of it, but you have to do podcasts, so you had to watch it. That's why you watched it. That's why we all watched it. Well, maybe I'm a little bit sick because I have a blood disease, so I have to watch this wrestling. But I mean, other than that, I'm definitely, I'm not happy about it, just like any addict isn't happy that they're an addict. It's just, that's just how things are, and you have to,
Right.
come to grips with it. But everything about this show was pretty bad. Now, if you guys don't owe it to anybody or yourselves to try to find positives in it. If you want to find a positive, you can always lean on the positive that, like, whether they know better or not, everybody out there is trying and working hard. They're trying. They don't know what they're doing, but they're trying. Some of them do know what they're doing, and they have to do things anyway. But it's like Christian or whatever. Like, I know he knows better than that, but whatever. He's out there. So, like, they're all trying and working hard. So there's your positive. Everything else fucking sucks because it could be so much better. It's not like you don't have the talent to do it, but some of that talent should never be ever on a pay-per-view. And some of that talent is like, where's this talent? They should be on every pay-per-view. So
Where's Pac?
They got to slow things down and have more normal matches so that unusual matches are unusual again.
And when those unusual matches happen, they have to make sense.
Yeah.
And it's like they try. Even the Don Callis thing is so terrible because he doesn't do anything until he comes in at the end just to get caught. Like, I'm sorry. Like, are we still doing this fucking Memphis shit? Like, what the fuck? Just hit him. What do you care? Like, if he caught you, just fucking hit him. Like, you're Don Callis. You just have an object in your hand and hit him. Why are we doing this whole, oh my God, Takeshita was it doesn't matter. No one is like, when they do this shit in the crowd, they're playing along. They're being ironic. They're not really shocked. They're doing it because they're hoping to get on camera ever since the fucking Undertaker guy. Like, that's why they're doing it. Nobody's really shocked and grabbing their head. Are you kidding me?
And while Takeshita is a good, I think he's actually a good wrestler. He's had good matches, but for the most part, they've had him lose. He's probably lost 70% of the matches we've seen. Now, I get it. Before he was signed to AEW, of course he was there to lose, but even since then, he's lost most of his big matches. So I don't know why we're supposed to think that Takeshita is like this great addition.
Because we're gonna add one Japanese wrestler in one group just to like checkmate you with another Japanese wrestler.
Are we saying?
No, well,
Willow
no,
Nightingale,
not exactly.
Stardom champion?
But I'm talking Kota Ibushi, obviously.
That's
I know it's dumb fucking thinking.
Wow.
But
Wheeler
that's what they're
Yuta's Japanese.
Half Japanese. He's half Japanese, but yeah.
Doesn't matter. We're not doing ratios here with this booking, are we?
Oh, I
Well,
really like
fuck,
how
it's AEW. Dude,
I really
actually,
like how on the vest they had their name spray painted.
I forgot to ask you. Oh yeah. Oh god, how childish was that? That is fucking child. But Vet, did you see Blackface perform?
What the hell was that about?
Dude, that's what we want to know. First
I was
of
like,
all,
when I saw that guy come out, I was like, oh, canceled. But but who is that?
The Velvet Idols, as near as I can tell, is what people have been saying on Twitter. But
Did
yeah,
someone bring that
Oh
up
my God!
on the post game show that they did?
I didn't hear anybody say anything
Wow.
like that.
Wow.
I mean, that room of people are going to. The closest thing to a racy question you get is Brandon Thurston, God bless
And
him.
Hausman usually.
Asking, Hausman wasn't there.
Oh.
Asking about, he posted on Twitter he wasn't going.
He's not invited anymore, dude.
Well,
I
he
saw
said
what
it was
happened
his
last
choice,
time.
but I'm sure you're right. But but it was Thurston, bless his heart, asked about what's the financial situation with Collision, as if Tony Khan's going to answer, which he didn't. But nobody asked about the Velvet Idols, and I mean, let's go to the Blackface for just a second. Why do we need the live music, and why were they playing for the first 10 minutes?
They're
of the
trying to be
goddamn
New
match?
Jack from ECW when he comes out, with the music. Natural
But
Born
New
Killers.
Jack couldn't wrestle, so the music was there to distract people from the match.
And it was a good track, mind you.
Right. Well, yeah.
I mean, shit.
Yeah, that was not this, not
It is,
Wild Thing,
no.
not any version of it, not their version of it, not a blackface lead singer's version of it. That he just stayed in his dressing room the entire time and didn't come out till it was too late to tell him no. Like, that, because anybody
100%.
walking around there would have been like, excuse me.
Dude,
If I would have seen that,
Twitter's
I would be like, you know what? We don't need live music tonight.
Well, I
There's
think
no
the
way I'm
committee-
letting that on my TV. No way.
I think the committee of Jericho and Brian Cage okayed that one.
Oh, did they? Okay. Well, that makes sense.
Well, apparently they did Moxie's old entrance theme. Other than that, I don't know who, and I don't care.
I don't know what
And
I
they
was
called
listening to.
the Violent Idols.
Old entrance theme? What?
I
The
think
one from WWE with the
No, no,
air
no,
raid
no.
siren on it?
No, the one before this one in AEW, the... Remember?
I remember it, but I didn't recognize it when you just did. But yeah, I do remember with the barbed wire, on the screen.
Jeez. Todd Brownlee says, this offended me, not as a black man, but as a wrestling fan with a brain. Well, it should offend you even as a black man because there was no reason for that shit to even...
Listen, this gave me trauma
thing.
because it reminded me of ACH's / Jordan Miles NXT shirt and that
Shirt. Oh, God.
and that whole thing.
Remember that?
You shouldn't listen. Whether you think that was overblown or not, you should at least know it's a thing. And when you see something that even closely resembles that, 5 years later or 6 years later, just go, no, God, turn that around. But paint your face or your masks to different colors. Take off your mask. I don't care about the red stripe on your face. That's fine. Go back in there. You're ugly enough, believe me.
And the audience for that kind of music, I'm sure, is fine with it. They seem like the kind of people that would be totally fine with that at whatever bar that you play at normally. But, this is a little bit more of a sensitive fan base, I think, to these type of
Here's your
things.
Guy Fawkes masks. Put those on. You can be anarchist. There you go.
Yeah.
Even though he wasn't
Anarchists in the arena. What a way to wrap things up.
Oh, yeah, Todd says, oh, geez, I remember that, Jeff. Yikes.
So do I. And listen, I remember, ACH, he was having his other mental issues and he okayed the shirt, but it was with gray and blue and this.
What's happened to ACH? Is he just disappeared now? I mean, he was great in Japan, but that's about it.
He shows up every now and then, but whatever his illness is, doesn't allow him to do this consistently.
His illness is he got in the wrestling business. That's what his fucking illness is. He should have known better.
Okay. All right. Well, you hear it from our very own, the opinion haver, and someone who's actually been in the wrestling knows these things.
I fully support ACH, and I fully support him getting out of the wrestling business too if he wants. Please do it for yourself, because even though I like you, I think it's better if you just stay away. I think it's better if everybody stays away. I think everyone should take 2 weeks off and quit wrestling forever.
2 weeks off.
Well, Jimmy tries every now and then.
Yeah.
I try, but then I get sucked in.
Oh, that's more shade than the lead singer of Violent Idols on his face.
Oh. I might as well do the same thing what they did and see how I go. But anyway, no, in all seriousness though, guys, I think we can take it home because we're done. I mean, what else is there for us to talk about with this show? So in saying that, Jeff, tell them where they can find you, man.
On Twitter, RickerStellMD, right here on the PWC, and where we cross-pollinate with the Hameen Media Group and Channel Attitude, usually on Uncaged and Smack Attack. My other wrestling podcast with Big Daddy Cool Steve Pena is Hammerlock Hangover, released every 2 weeks. and my non-wrestling podcast, Garden of Doom and Garden Views, on Hami Media Group, right here on the PWC, also on Wrestling Soup Network, and wherever you find fine podcasts. And they have almost nothing to do with wrestling whatsoever. More esoteric, occult mythology, history, alternate history, law, business, tech, things that go bump in the night, UFOs, stuff like that.
Oh, nice. Vit, tell them where they can find you, my man.
Well, if you know Hami Media Group, then you know me, because I'm on way too much stuff. And you can catch me on a fresh, it's so fresh out of the oven, it hasn't cooled off yet, Impact Attack, that started 30 minutes before this show. So you can check that out on channelattitude.com, and you can catch me every Wednesday on the Next Level Wrestling Review with Big Ray Hernandez, 8 a.m. Pacific and 11 a.m. Eastern live. And we're going to talk about Battleground, because I didn't watch enough shitty wrestling this weekend, and now I had to watch Battleground too. And I'm going to fucking cut more promos on Battleground and every fucked up thing that happened on that fucked up show that was fucked up. So don't miss it live Wednesday. You know, you see me on other stuff like shooting the shit uncensored with Piers Austin, or you know, sometimes I'm on Wrestling with Rip Rogers every Friday with a live Q&A, or I'm on the PWC sometimes if it's not a Monday Night Machismo Thursday edition or a Rampage Uncaged or any other, you know, Double or Nothing reviews. You never know where I just may pop in, so you keep your eyes peeled for all that stuff. And as far as social media goes, Opinion Haver, not 2X, that's just for here, but it was in heavy use this weekend. The 2X was in heavy use this weekend. At Opinion Haver on all your favorite social media platforms. And, you know, that's it for me.
Oh, nicely played, nicely played. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, you can at DJ Mass Effects, and you can follow us also at the PWC Network. Please like and subscribe right here at the PWCnetwork.popping.com, where you can find all our shows. And it's also, like these two lovely gentlemen just said, subscribe to channelattitude.com, where for $5 you get the best talk in all of pro wrestling. And also HaminMediaGroup.popping.com, where you can find all our affiliate shows, including Jeff's. And in saying that, I am Jimmy T, that's Evil Dose, Dr. Jeff Lippman, and that is the Opinion Haver, Jamie the Vet Williams, and you've been listening and watching the AEW Double or Nothing review show right here on the PWC Network, and we're out. Peace.
Stay evil, my friends.
The PWC Network. What the world is watching and listening to.